Hello teacups, what's brewing? Welcome back to the channel. I need to start with an apology, which is always a good way to start a video, obviously. I have not had as much time as I wanted to today to be able to research some of the stuff that she tells us. Usually I'll go and I'll be like, okay, well, what's the range for this? What's the range for that? What does that mean? I've done a little bit of that today, but it is currently 7:30, and by the time I get this edited, God knows what time it will be. I went straight home from work and then to the Visa medical place, so at least that's somewhat relevant to the content today. There was some kind of update or something, and my visa's for 2 years, but I had to have another medical. So I've been here a year and a few months. And they have to renew something earlier than they thought, which means I had to go have a medical. And I got there at like 10 past 4, and they were like, no, we can register you now, but we're not starting tests till 5. Because in a Visa medical, you go through, like, there are rooms set up, and you basically go from room to room to room. So for the renewal, you don't have to do the full medical, which means I didn't have to give a stool sample, which was nice because, oh, the indignity. But I basically went in, they did my bloods, and then I went into the next room. I had to give a urine sample. They got some kind of report out. I had to go and get a chest x-ray, and now the results will be available tomorrow, and at some point after 11:30 I need to go pick them up. So I'm gonna have to go back out after school tomorrow to get those results, to give them to HR so they can go and renew whatever it is they need to renew. I'm a little bit late with this actually, because they've been trying for the last month to interface with the government website that allows you the QR code to get this done, and it keeps timing out. So it's all just been perfect. So I was there until about 6:20 because it was so busy. Like, I was almost glad I'd showed up almost an hour early, because when I showed up, there were already 8 people in front of me. And if I'd shown up at 5, if I'd known they were only going to be doing things from 5, there were about 45 people in that waiting room. Like, oh, I'd still be there right now. It just would have been awful. So came home, hangry, bit of a headache because I hadn't had coffee before I went, and I couldn't go to the bathroom because I knew they were going to ask for samples, and so I was just uncomfortable. Came back, threw some eggs in my face, was like, oh, I want to do this react. Nearly unalived myself, tripping on my shoes, which for some reason I had put next to and not into the piece of furniture I bought for the sole purpose of storing my shoes. I was making coffee to come and do this. I decided to put a batch of tea on because I was really tired and I might want it later. And it boiled over and I just went across the room. It's been a lot, guys, and it's been a full day. So excuse the whining. We are at the beginning of the video. I realize it doesn't necessarily set you up for success in my opinions, but so my day, not going so great. Lovely to see you guys, but not going so great. It does just reinforce the question, though, as we talk about Chantal's doctor visit, that I don't see how she's ever done any serious medical in this country before. Ever. Because some of these issues, at the very least, would have come up. Now, I know that everything she said about her status is nonsense, but medicals are compulsory as part of getting things like civil IDs. The more she says, the more you can see that she just hasn't been through these procedures. But we will get to that at the appropriate time. Anyway, all that whinging to say, if I'm a little bit out of it and I'm all over the place, I'm struggling to focus at the moment. And like I said, I've researched a few things. I don't have all the details in terms of her results because I don't necessarily know what all the medical tests are. I'm not a trained doctor, sorry. But I don't want this to get too long. I don't want to be editing it all night. So let me shut up and we'll get into this. I don't necessarily think I appreciate this background music. Not because I dislike the music itself. Like it's very much, it's doing its purpose. But considering the content of this video, just really reinforcing that, you know, my life is my content and I can produce it and monetize it even when talking about the end of it. All right, we might need to skip through this. Oh no, okay. Waiting room, internal medicine. Okay, sorry, I paused and then I went on a few minutes just to see what she was going to do, because she seemed to be struggling kind of with her abaya there, and I was like, why are you taking your abaya off? Like, even though she wears them a lot tighter than really you should, that's not their purpose. Like, she's got enough give in the sleeve. You only take a blood test from like the bend of your elbow. She doesn't need it to be up any higher, so she could just lift up the sleeve, but I don't know if maybe she's just uncomfortable sitting. Drinking water so I can pee in a cup. We really don't need this slice of life like dun 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 dun. I won't go on about it, but that cannot have been a comfortable test. And I say that because I literally just had to do one. In a lot of these places, even like the nicer places, you literally just, I mean, there's no really dignified way to do it, but you go in and it's just a cubicle. And then usually you have to take that sample over to wherever the drop box is, and you just, it is what it is, you know, but you don't have a huge amount of space, and she's going to have struggled with that because it's a difficult thing to do just in the area you have to do it. It's not like they're going to have special facilities. No, laugh it up, it's all a joke. Back to the doc for results.
Hi guys, welcome back to another video. So this video is going to be my experience at the doctor's. I said I was going to get checked out. I wanted to have some blood work done to see what my, what's it called? Is it HbA? Is it A1C?
I don't actually know. As far as I know, the A1C is the one they test every 3 months or whatever to see what like your long-term sugars are. And then you have the randomized one, don't you, which she's been taking. But I want to ask about this doctor timeline. We did talk about it and I was like, what? Sorry. Why would a doctor let you go with no medicine and nothing else and say, yeah, work on your health for a month when your sugars were as high as she was saying? And it's clear now that she just didn't go before, because there is absolutely no way this fits in with her prior story. She's saying, oh no, I said I was going to the doctor. And she tells us later that, oh, I was officially diagnosed now. Whereas she was claiming to have done that after Salah took her the next day after that first reading when she really wasn't feeling well. So that was just all lies. The whole doctor said come back in a month was just her trying to grab at straws for more time to crash diet away before the doctor's visit, or hoping to avoid the doctor's visit, because that's what she does. She thinks she can eat herself healthy when eating is what's making her sick.
I'm gonna have my blood work results in this video for you coming soon. So I'll tell you my experience in detail, how it went, how much it cost here for healthcare, and then I'll show you my results. Now you can choose private healthcare. There's so many private healthcare hospitals, clinics here. And there's also some there's I think like a couple hospitals or clinics that are just for Kuwaiti people, the Kuwaiti population, and then there's public sector. We prefer, nothing against the public sector hospitals, but we prefer to go private. And
I was just letting us say that because I tried to look into this and I was getting a bit of a headache without it, to be honest. But yeah, there are different kinds of hospitals, but I was really looking into health insurance because in Oman, where I live, if you are working, it is compulsory for your employer to provide health insurance. Like, they have to do it. So I have medical insurance through the school. Now, what you can access depends on your insurance and in terms of what the copay will be and that kind of thing. Now, I did a brief look into Kuwait. Kuwait is a welfare system, so it's free for all citizens. And because medical tourism, or at least that's what they're reporting, is putting more pressure onto that system, they are now barring expats between certain hours or not allowing them to access it. They introduced a scheme where expats can access the hospitals the same way Kuwaitis can, but they have to pay a fee every year. I think it's like 50 dinar or something. and they also have to pay extra for like specialists and tests and things. There was talk about making insurance in the private sector compulsory. I would presume the way it is in Oman. They drafted a law in 2019 which doesn't seem to have come into effect from what I could see. This is where I got a little bit bogged down with information, or if it does, it might have come into effect just for workers perhaps in the private sector, which Chantal is not. I did check if it was compulsory for tourists to have health insurance, because Chantal has already admitted that she doesn't have insurance. She doesn't travel with insurance. It's not currently compulsory for tourists. So I don't think she has any health insurance, but in order to get the medical card that gives you the same rights, more or less, as a Kuwaiti person, the one that you pay and then you pay extra for specialists and stuff, you need to have your civil ID, which Chantal claims she has, and every time an opportunity comes up where she might have to use it, doesn't use it. So yeah, I bet she prefers the private medical. I bet she prefers just paying for it because it's the only one she can actually access. If she had insurance, she would just pay her copay, which she clearly does not have. So she is paying out of pocket every time she does this, which we also saw back on her first clinic visit when she used her passport instead of the civil ID she claimed she had. So I don't think she's gone through any visa medical. I don't think she has any civil ID. The sponsorship that she could have had of Salah sponsoring her as a husband doesn't appear to be open right now. Like, none of the things that we see evidence for match up to the story she tells that she is settled and there properly. And this is just one more example of that shit not adding up.
Just pay the money. Like, when you go private, you pay out of pocket. Like, I might look into, because
if you have health insurance, they will still accept health insurance, but usually you'll have a copay. I know I have some clinics and some hospitals where I don't have to pay anything, and I have some clinics and some hospitals where I have to pay a 20% copay. Now, are the systems identical? No, but close enough, I think, that this is a lie. I think she just goes to the private because she can pay out of pocket, and that avoids the issue of insurance altogether.
The health insurance here covers the public sector, like the healthcare you get here as an expat, but the level of healthcare is just different in a private sector. And being from Canada, private healthcare is not something we really had access to. It was mostly public, so like hospitals and that. So yeah, so I went to a private clinic and it ended up costing a total of 44 KD. I think 44, 47 off.
I have no idea if that's a good price or not, to be completely honest. Like, the visa medical I had today, the school paid for, but the receipt they gave me to prove that it'd been paid for, because that's why I needed the QR code, said it cost 15 Rial, which was about £30, but it was literally like x-ray, well, £35 maybe, but it was blood test, x-ray, peanut cup. So nothing too involved, but it does seem like they, rightly so, ran quite a few tests on Foodie because she's got some things wrong with her.
I'll have to check. And I'll put the conversion here somewhere for you guys so you know how much that is roughly. Not too bad, you know, for a blood test. And I'll tell you what else I got. So, okay, so we arrived there maybe around 11:30 a.m. and I had been fasting, and
she considers sleep fasting, right? I don't know how long doctors officially consider fasting. Does it have to be 12 hours before, 24 hours before? I don't know.
I get to the counter and I tell the lady, you know, what I need to. I said I'm kind of dizzy because I was, and I've been testing my blood sugars and they've been really high. So she said, okay, well, we have a doctor here who specializes in diabetes and things like that, and it's the internal medicine doctor. So the consultation with the doctor cost 7 KD, and then we went up to the level where the doctor was, and we were seen pretty much almost immediately. There was not really any wait at this clinic, which is really awesome, which I find is the case with private clinics. The wait is a lot less. So The doctor was really nice, really, really nice. And he had a nurse there, and they took my blood pressure. Now, this is something I find a little unbelievable because my blood pressure has never been this low. As like, they used a really big cuff, and the doctor took my blood pressure, and it was like 110 over 82.
That seems pretty unbelievable from her. But I was trying to think of an explanation. I was like, she lying. Maybe she wasn't though, because I did see a comment by somebody, I can't remember who, I'm sorry, just in general discussing. There were some pictures of her results on Twitter. I couldn't find the screenshots, but someone had very kindly gone in and written what a few of the things meant. And someone had said that when you have the kind of readings she had for the MALB, which we'll get into later, coupled with lower blood pressure, it can be a sign of kidney disease, I think it was kidney disease. So it may be that another problem was impacting the blood pressure, because we've seen her have really high blood pressure results, and we've also just seen her function where even basic movement really shows on her physically in a way that would really concern me. So I don't see how it would be possible for her blood pressure not to be sky high, but it might be an impact of something else that's going on with her.
I was like, what? Are you sure? So I almost felt like asking if you could take it again, because that's really strange.
She says almost felt like asking there. I want to know how much she shared with the doctor. She would have told him she had high blood pressure because she would have expected a higher reading. But when she says, oh, I almost wanted to, so if she just sat there and kind of nodded, like, wouldn't you, if you were with a doctor, say, just so you're aware, that's quite unusual for me. My blood pressure is usually high, because she said they were talking about their history. Like, I would want a doctor to know that if I had that problem.
Now, maybe because I was fasting, I don't know. But he said that's normal, so he said that's good. I know you're going to be like, yeah, right, that was my reaction too. But who am I to argue with the doctor, right?
For the first time in her life, who am I to argue with a doctor? Hey, you remember when she completely went off the doctor's plan because she said doctors don't understand nutrition? Remember that? Yeah, no. Doctors are sacred. Like, who am I to argue with a doctor? You've argued with everyone you've had so far.
So then he wanted, talked a bit about my background, my medical history, told him about my operations, about all this and that, just really nice doctor, really not rushing, really seemed interested in talking to, me about my history. Another thing I find that doctors...
I mean, you rock up with sugars like that, he's going to want to know what's happened before.
Tend to do more in a private clinic, I don't know. But, so talked to him for a bit. Then he ordered some blood tests. So I will insert the blood work here, the results of the test and that was requested and the results. I'm going to blur out private information, obviously, but here you go.
Okay, this is just the test he ordered. I don't understand a lot of the acronyms and things, so I'm just going to go look at her results and what she talks about, and then we'll go from there, because I don't think I've got anything particularly useful to add with this one. So I'm guessing WBC is white blood count, and it seems to be a normal range though, so I'm not sure what HGB is. Hemoglobin, I guess. It's very slightly high. I'm guessing he's ticked those off. I'm assuming a him, that's not very good of me. I'm guessing the doctor has ticked those off because they're going to be relevant to other results for what they're looking for. I'm guessing for the diabetes. GRBS. I did have to think there for a minute. Glucose random blood sugar, I'm guessing. Going from the fact that it's got the normal value of the blood sugar, 23.9, you guys. Jesus. 23.9 is nearly 3 times the top of that range. Nearly 3 times the top of that range. That's terrifying. That's fasted, and that's terrifying. And then this was the interesting one. This is the one I think we weren't expecting necessarily, which I believe is connected to the kidney function. Apparently, from what I understand from Talk Online, which is where I say I haven't researched it very well, but a quick Google has told me that this test and this reading is the first clinical sign of diabetic renal disease and cardiovascular disease. an effective indicator of early kidney disease. I'm not going to try and pronounce what it actually stands for because I will not be able to do so. But basically, there is something that is not meant to be in there that the kidney usually stops, that it's not stopping very well. Man, sounding intelligent today, aren't I? I recognize how stupid that sounds. Apologies, everybody. It's been a long day. But basically, the reference range is between 0 and 20. 0 is an option, and she's on 92. And she will explain that in a little bit. It's not surprising when she explains it. I do wonder sometimes, though, when she's explaining, because this is generally quite complicated, and her default is to not ask questions when she doesn't understand, because clarifying might be terrifying. Whereas I would want a lot more information about this. And then, girl, you diabetic is basically what all this means. Oh, the A1C is 10.4 when it should basically be half that, which is, again, pretty terrifying, because that's sort of the baseline for the longer term one. It's not like, oh, you've had a random spike, you didn't eat very well today. That's like, long term, your body hates you quite a lot.
I also had to do a urine sample, like, you know, like pee in the little cup thing. And then we had to wait about an hour, and the results were in just shy of an hour. So we took them back to the doctor after going to the lab. It was all in the same clinic, which is nice.
It's the same with the Visa Medical. Like, they will get the reports out quite quickly. Obviously, they'll send away for some other stuff, but I got the report a few minutes, and then tomorrow I'll get the results for some of the other things.
Took them back to the lab, to the doctor, who saw us right away, looked at the results.
Died of shock.
And actually, I forgot to mention, when I was doing the blood work, they picked my finger to take a blood test. It was 23 point something. It's on the results. It was like 23, okay?
That's
That's really high. 23 mmol. And so I'll try to convert that into mgdl for you.
414. Like, before she was in the 300s, right? So this is why the timeline kind of sucks, because this is post her double sandwich and pomegranate juice feast. So you can't say she didn't earn the number, but at the same time, man, I would not wish those numbers on anyone.
But the test results came back, and there was a couple of problems. You know, pancreas, liver, everything he said was fine.
I find that unlikely, given that she's got a history of damaged liver.
But the A1C was 10, so I think 10.1, so that's pretty high. I have to get that down.
That moment there, that little, I don't want to say glitch exactly, I think this has really shocked her quite a lot. I think that she avoids getting information so much, she avoids the doctor so much, and you get the sense of, yes, it's bad, but, you know, living my life, whatever. You can only be told the sky is going to fall so much before you're like, well, let it fall then. She's not actually expecting it to come down. And the sky it is a-coming, you know? So I think she spends so much time hiding and running from her reality, escaping from her reality. But when she's stood in front of this wall of evidence that she can't deny, and she's a little bit scared, and she's got the professionals who have listened to her and have tested her and have explained to her, and from the sound of it, been quite shocked, that's very confronting. And I don't think she knows how to handle that at all.
So they did diagnose me with diabetes, like, officially.
Officially, a few days after she claimed she was officially diagnosed with diabetes and had a video saying such. That definitely went to the doctor the first time, and having officially been diagnosed, came back to work on my diet with no medicine when my bloods were that high.
No, I knew, because my blood sugar levels were so high.
Not because she went to a doctor.
And then there's this thing here, it's like MALB, M-A-L-B, which is something in the urine, apparently. The normal range is like 0 to 20, but mine was like 92. So this, he said, had to do with something being in the urine that has to do with eating way too much salt. So,
which again is not a surprise, as she lives on pickles and olives and salty cheese and junk food.
Salt and certain foods. So immediately after that, he told me to eliminate certain foods, and you guys are going to be keto people, are going to be keto lovers, are not going to want to believe this, but
it's not about what we feel, darling. Yeah, our reaction to this is not actually important.
This doctor,
I say as a reactor,
told me to not eat any eggs, red meat, cut that out. Eat mostly fish, chicken, and vegetarian.
Okay, so he wants to get your fats down pretty severely and try and get you on whole grains. I don't object to that. I've always said that keto is not for everybody, but two, we've had a lot of discussion recently about there are so many things wrong with her. She needs to go to a doctor and get a plan. So if a doctor has said to her, hey, your kidneys are kind of looking like they're effed and your sugars are incredibly high and, these things are going on, eat this way, I'm not about to argue with the doctor. I can completely understand that if they're worried about certain organs, that they would maybe want to cut down. Like, yes, I believe low carb is effective for losing weight, but Foodie has so many other issues. Which one do you prioritize? So if he's saying to her, no eggs, no red meat, no whatever, then do what he says.
Mostly vegetables, like this much.
She does not look excited.
Like this much, he showed me with the hands, like this much vegetables on your plate. This much for your palm. So you do this thing with your palm, it shows you how much rice you can eat.
For the 3 days that she actually sticks to this, I think we're going to see her with a handful of rice, and instead of it being a palm, it's going to be like, whew, she said my hand.
So this plus a half of this. So yeah, I can eat that much rice, which I know you guys are going to be like, what? It raises your glycemic index.
Stop worrying about us. Stop worrying about us. It's not the fact that we agree, disagree, are indifferent to it that matters here. Yeah? Like, I'm sure she's happy that she gets to have some rice. Like any kind of portion control at this point, she hates most vegetables. I know she says she loves them, but she never really chooses them, And if she's having half a plate of veggies and a little bit of rice and the doctor said, yeah, okay, fine.
I guess mixing it with the vegetables, which have a lot of fiber, kind of slow down.
I don't actually think she's going to portion control, by the way, but I would love to see it because she's got to do something, surely.
The spike of sugar, I don't know, but what can I say? I went to a doctor and this is what he told me.
She sounds so proud. Look, haters, I've won, but the doctor said. Okay, great, the doctor said, thank God.
Chicken, fish, he wants me to eat fish 3 times a week. Some chicken and...
I wonder if he said what kind of fish.
Vegetarian meals, like maybe beans, stuff like that. Because he doesn't believe in something, he likes lower fat food. So
I don't think it's the doctor likes. I think he's looking at your body breaking down before his eyes and he's like, oh, we gotta do some things.
Basically, I have to eat very bland, he said, because the salt level and things, I have to be very, very careful because this can lead to my kidneys were fine now, but this in your urine can lead to kidney problems down the line from eating way too much sodium.
I don't know if he was trying not to panic her or if he should have been trying to panic her more. I don't know which one would have been better there. According to Dr. Google, it's early signs of potential kidney disease, which I guess is what he's tried to prioritize here, because if they can use medicine to control the sugars, then let's look at the next problem.
Plus being diabetic can definitely damage your kidneys. So basically he just, I said, okay, what about, because I asked him at first, how should I be eating, for this, because should I be eating keto, very low carb? And he said, no, really right away, no, don't do keto.
I suppose with all the other things, that doesn't surprise me so much. I had full out said, I think keto is the option for her in terms of losing weight. But if the fat and the salt are such threats to her, because we didn't know she had a high salt level, well, we knew in a general sense. We didn't have tests showing how badly it was affecting her. Then obviously he's chosen to prioritize that instead, which fair enough.
It's very unhealthy. And I was like, oh, okay. So yeah, he's like, you can eat carbs, but limit them and make them like healthy carbs, you know, like whole grain.
I was gonna say, I hope he was really specific over what healthy means, because she can twist that a lot.
You can have 1 slice of whole grain toast a day, kind of thing.
Think of all the pita she eats with all the other stuff. Like, if she's having beans, she'd probably have the full. And so that she usually eats with pita. So she going to be able to manage that? Like, portion control in general is something she's always really struggled with. But it's just the first in a number of problems I can foresee for her, because she's never been in such a bad health condition before. She's suspected before, but she's never actually had these test results. She just had warnings, or she's had test results but not all in conjunction all together like this. Like, it's only gotten worse. But she did say, 2 days ago, that her health concerns aren't enough to make a change, and that's why she was eating the Substop. So is this going to be enough? I have my doubts.
Something really good for breakfast would be whole grain toast with some beans or something. But fruit, I can have very, like, a limited amount. Maybe like 1 pear, half of you know, whatever, an apple, but like wait a couple of days for my blood sugars to regulate. So, because he's put me on medication, I'll get to that in a minute.
Thank God, because you needed something.
So that's basically what happened, you know. It was a pretty decent experience. Like, you know, I felt well taken care of. It was affordable, in my opinion. I mean, kinda, you know.
I mean, kinda in the sense of I'm not insured at all, and this is going to be an ongoing care kind of situation. I wonder if she's going on medication she's going to have to take it regularly, and I wonder how much that would end up costing out of pocket.
And yeah, that's about it, I guess. So I really have to really do this.
She's trying to convince herself there, sorry. Took a minute for it to sink in. I'm tired.
After my blood test and everything, he ordered a shot of insulin to try to bring the sugar down.
414! Thank God he ordered something.
And I went down to the nursing station and they picked my arm with an injection of insulin. I don't know how much, but I don't know. I don't think it worked because I took my blood in the evening, and I was like fasting for a few hours because I had some chicken and a few vegetables for lunch at around 1:30.
Right. Then that's not fasting. That's just having time between meals.
So...
Sorry if that seems obvious. I fasted for a few hours. You mean you had lunch and then it was dinner time?
That's my lunch with a little bit of hummus, homemade hummus. And I didn't eat anything.
Well, again, like, the blood sugars are terrifying, especially if you had insulin and not seen a difference, but eating regularly, surely.
Because he was like, I want you to be on like a regimen.
Yeah, like a schedule.
I'm kind of all over the place. I'm like remembering tidbits of information and I'm really tired because it's late. But he's like, I want you to eat between 7 and 9 a.m. for breakfast, never skip breakfast. Noon to, around 12 to 1 for lunch, and then dinner no later than 8 p.m.
I think that schedule is going to be as much a barrier to her as anything she has to eat or do. Because she does not sleep at regular times. When she streams, and I know she hasn't been doing it as much recently, but she does depend on her audience being awake at a different time to her. And just in general, her lifestyle is so unhealthy. Her sleep cycle is also not well regulated. And I sympathize. I don't have a naturally regular sleep cycle. I really have to work at it. I say, having had a coffee. But she is going to be awake all night because she can't do without the attention of the internet either. And that means she's going to get hungry because she's not sleeping at the times the doctor is expecting her to sleep. And something I would have seriously considered saying to the doctor, and to be entirely fair to her, she might have been pretty overwhelmed by information. She doesn't process details well, and she was probably panicking. But at the very least, and maybe when she goes back for a checkup, say, look, my schedule doesn't tend to work like this. Can we look at adapting what we were doing so I can work it into the schedule I have? Or can you assist me in changing the schedule? Maybe she gets some kind of sleep aid, maybe she gets something else. She could change her schedule herself, but I don't think she will. It's always been something she's struggled with. But if she's keeping the hours she usually keeps, there is no way she's going to keep to that eating schedule. She can't. And she's about to say something about that.
Like finish all your eating by 8 p.m. or so, and then don't eat again till the next day. After my lunch, I just didn't, I slept for a while and didn't feel like, cooking anything, and now it's like kind of too late, so I have to wait till the morning.
See, that concerns me, because the regulation of how frequently you eat is also an important part in getting onto a plan that will assist you. So if it's regulation of blood sugars and you're veering wildly from one to the other because you're not eating regularly, and that's either making you hungrier, making you more likely to binge, or causing you to go longer periods. Now, I know her blood sugar's really high, but if it did take a dive, and I do think she still believes, well, if I fast for long enough, it will fix itself and I'll see a big improvement, and then I don't have to panic about it. But if she slept and then she skipped dinner and then she was like, oh, now I can't eat to the morning, she's not going to make it through to the morning more than once or twice.
My blood sugar, when I tested it not long ago, like maybe an hour ago, and it's like maybe 11 at night, it was 239. Like,
that's still pretty high.
Now, insulin takes a while to work, right? I mean, it's not just...
How long does insulin take to work? Sorry, because I'm just assuming, I don't know if it was insulin, I'm assuming it was. Like, isn't the point of having injectable insulin that it works quickly? Otherwise, why would you inject it? Why would you not just take the oral medicine? Maybe I'm misunderstanding that. If you do take insulin, please let me know. It's not something I know.
One injection, I don't know. So maybe what I had for dinner, I don't know. For lunch, I'm not sure.
I was gonna say, you didn't have dinner.
But maybe my pancreas is just damaged and I'm eventually going to need to be on insulin. I don't know. I hope not. But I have to go back on Monday for a follow-up, and I have to record my blood sugars before I go.
Yeah, so this doctor was like, shit, come back in a few days, record it, come back, we want to see it. So, but no, the other doctor that I definitely went and saw said, yeah, give it a month, try a diet.
He put me on, my medication's in the other room, but he put me on like something that's like sort of like metformin, but it's not. It's like a mix of diabetic drugs. It's tablets. And he put me on some kind of other pill that's gonna it's like a blood pressure pill, but it's like, he said sort of just like a just in case kind of thing it's supposed to like help with the sodium level in my urine. I don't know.
I would want more information about that, because according to her blood pressure was normal range. Doctors don't generally prescribe stuff just in case. They answer medical issues you have that they need to control. I don't know if I'm just being obtuse about this and actually know it has an off-label use to be able to help support the kidney, perhaps. Like, I will admit a certain amount of ignorance there. It's not an issue I've ever suffered with that I'm aware of. But if you didn't have blood pressure issues, wouldn't it be dangerous to prescribe something that works on blood pressure? Because then you're just risking your blood pressure going lower, unless your blood pressure wasn't normal and it was having to be addressed.
So that's that. That's pretty much, I'm trying to think if I'm forgetting anything. I don't think so. Pretty much my visit from start to finish at the private clinic here. Usually when I would go for healthcare, I've been a couple times to the public sector clinic, and then I went to a private clinic, and then we liked that a lot more.
When was that? I believe even if she pays out of pocket, she can she access the public clinic? Can tourists access public hospitals, Kuwait? Okay, If you're a visitor, you'll need to either have comprehensive cover or pay out of pocket. So she could have paid out of pocket to go to a public hospital. All right, just checking.
Like you're just, I don't know, the level of care is just different. So now we chose to go to another private clinic, and yeah, that's about it. So I don't know if you have any questions. I can try to answer in the comments.
She seems, before when she was eating a sandwich, she seemed defeated. And I was like, you do not look defeated. Now she looks defeated. And that is sad. Like, I don't wish these concerns on anyone at all, even Foodie. I don't wish them on her, but would that this would last longer so that she would do something about it. But you'll give it a day or 2 or 3, she'll fall off the wagon, and even this will not be enough.
But that's my experience with the healthcare in Kuwait, and this is definitely was not fun. I mean, I can't tell you how many times I got asked if I was pregnant there. And I was just like, I understand that because like women my age and typically with a large belly, they probably are most of the times pregnant here, but
still kind of hurts to hear.
Whatever, I didn't take offense to that,
And
no,
you shouldn't. I mean, if you look that way.
They were really nice, and but it's not fun being in another country, and I'm supposed to be like living up my life, because I'm not getting any younger, and when I get too old, I won't be able to do any of these things. So I want.
Not to put too fine a point on this, but you can't do any of these things now. Age is not your current biggest enemy.
So I have to focus on my health journey.
She does not want to do that. Look how tired the thought of that makes her.
It has to happen, so.
It does have to happen. But she tends to resist being told when things have to happen, even by herself. So will it happen? Probably not. It should happen.
Inshallah.
It will take an act of God at this point, but hopefully.
I think if I ate something really bad for me, I would feel so guilty, and
I don't think she would at all. She didn't feel guilty when she was eating that sandwich. She might regret it now that she's seen the numbers and she couldn't escape them. She didn't just get some lucky random that she was hoping she would. But there was no guilt there.
I'm scared of what it's doing to my body.
But fear
now
isn't
that I've
enough,
seen the doctor, because...
Now that you've seen the doctor, even though you claim to see the doctor. I know I'm not letting go of this, but Foodie lies. Foodie lies like she breathes.
The salt and the urine thing and more organ damage.
And the problem is that it's more. I've survived this long, and therefore, I guess I'll keep surviving. By the time it's advanced enough to scare her, properly scare her, it's going to be way too late.
Blood sugar, they were alarmed at my blood sugar level.
I'll bet.
He's like, that's your blood sugar with fasting?
Could you imagine having a doctor whose specialism is diabetes looking at you, head half cocked to the side, like, seriously? That's terrifying. I know I've used that word a lot.
And then I think of the sub I ate with all the salty processed meat on it. Oh my gosh. I don't know what I was doing, but...
She knew exactly what she was doing. She said, I can't deal with it right now. She knew exactly what she was doing. She may regret it now, but she knew. And I think if someone handed her that sandwich right now, she would eat it. She'd fight with herself for maybe a few minutes, but she'd eat it.
I appreciate you guys listening to me. And
I don't think that appreciation is going to last long, but we'll see.
I don't want to hear people berating the doctor I saw, because...
She's already ready to have a fight. I don't want to hear, well, then don't put it online.
He's a doctor, most
Yes.
people online are not.
Including you.
And I know they're
She's already annoyed at the potential argument she might have. I've got no problem with him not recommending keto. Do what the doctor says. Do what the doctor says. And in 3 days, 4 days, if we're incredibly lucky, if you're incredibly lucky, 5 days, which would be longer than you've lasted for a long while, you're trying to twist out of it. Remember your words.
He's going to get a lot of backlash for telling me not to do keto, because people who are like, you know, like, well, I lost this much weight and I've never felt healthier, blah, blah, blah.
Yeah, well, they don't have failing organs.
I don't know. I'm gonna follow what this doctor says, and
I would love, genuinely and without sarcasm, love to see it.
So, anyways, guys, I'll see you in the next one. Bye, guys.
Okay, bye-bye. And that is done. So we'll see how long this lasts. For most people, this would be enough to begin a lifestyle change, a serious one. Chantal is not most people. I don't know if she has it in her. But if this doesn't, as I believe it won't, I don't see what could. Because the only way this would get worse is if she'd wake up without a foot. And at that point, it's really too late. So if not now, when? I still don't think it'll happen, which is a real shame because it's such a waste. But there we have it. Okay, guys, thank you very much. I'm going to get settled and I will see you next time. Bye-bye.